Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, episode 126. Now if you haven't seen my shows before, I grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. Let's jump right in with the first match of the night. Blake Christian versus Keita. To me, this is a perfect match for someone like Keita to go up against a Blake Christian who, I've said it before and I'll say it again, absolutely matches up with anybody in the world and is a fantastic wrestler and should, in my opinion, have a bigger role not only on this show but in New Japan itself. Keita's the kind of wrestler that he's not as well known as Blake Christian, but he's still pretty good, and every time I see him he's getting better and better. And this is a perfect thing for him. Get him in there with a guy that's really good, a top-tier level talent, and let him learn from that in a match like this. This is perfect for what New Japan Strong is meant to be. Basically, their version of NXT, or very similar to that, where they kind of are trying to expand into the United States, also working with some of their LA Dojo guys to bring them on to make them stars. This is a perfect match for this type of show. Blake Christian picks up the win. I'm giving this one a 4. I thought it was really good. Next up, we have what we would call a Lucha Libre dream match with two Lucha legends. Mystico going up against Mysterio. I don't know if I put too much hype into this or expected more than what it was. I like these guys. They're both very good wrestlers. This match felt like it was at a pace that I wasn't expecting. It was a lot slower than the pace that I'm used to for both of these guys, and it took a lot away from it, in my opinion. You think of a Lucha Libre match, you think of fast, high-flying, going all over the place, chaos with a frenetic pace. This match didn't have that. Not saying that it was a bad match. It was actually a good match. It's just, I don't know, maybe my expectations were a little bit higher. Mystico picks up the win in this one. I'm giving this one a 3. Like I said, it just, to me, it didn't feel as good as it probably should have. Now for the main event of the show, defending the Strong Openweight Championship, Fred Rosser is defending against Peter Avalon. And this was kind of a weird choice to me because Peter Avalon's a good wrestler. He really is. And he's very talented. He's won championships all over the world. But if you look at Peter Avalon, most people know him from his stint in AEW, where he's more or less a jobber on the show. He barely gets on Dynamite or Rampage. He's usually on Dark or Elevation. And more often than not, he's used in a way to put somebody else over. And not that that's a bad thing. Those guys are very much needed. And again, this is not to question his talent. He's very talented. I just don't feel like he was ever a serious contender for Fred Rosser. This would be the equivalent of back in the day, Barry Horowitz going up against Diesel. It's not going to be a win for Barry Horowitz. Or even further back, someone like George South going up against Nikita Koloff. You know Nikita's going to run through him. It was a very good match, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing the match itself. And again, I'm not dissing the talent of Peter Avalon. I think a lot of the stuff he did prior to AEW in a championship wrestling from Hollywood and different Southern California and California independence was really good, and some of the stuff he still does out there is really good. His stuff on AEW is really good. It's just optics, in my opinion. It made the match not feel as important. Obviously, Fred Rosser picks up the win here. Then the other thing that made it not feel as important was looming. After the match, Fred Rosser grabs a microphone, calls out Kenta, who, if you remember a couple weeks ago, won the number 1 contenders match. So they're setting up a match with them in February. That was looming over it. The announcers were talking about that match all through this match. I thought the interaction with Rosser and Kenta was good. Kenta didn't say anything. Rosser just basically told him to bring it because I'm going to bring it. Overall, I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was good, but like I said, to me, there was no threat for the championship. There was no threat that Peter Avalon was going to win, so that did take a little bit off of it. Overall, I'm going to give the show itself a 4. I thought the beginning and the last match, 2 of the 3 matches were good. I didn't miss that they didn't have any kind of interview or anything pushing forward for next week's show. And I wonder if this is because this is the last show from this set of tapings that they wouldn't have that here. Normally they have something like Fred Rosser being called out by Peter Avalon the week before. Or we've seen like Jeff Cobb and Bad Dude Tito. Cobb called out Tito the week before. And they've done a really good job of splicing them in and making the show have more of that, I guess you could say, sports entertainment feel, adding that little bit extra where it's not just match, match, match. This was missing that, but still a pretty good show. Again, overall, I'm going to give it a 4. That being said, let's smash that like button, share the video, subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end, let me know you made it to the end. Let's give Peter Avalon a shout out in the comments. You can put Peter Avalon, you can put the librarian, something about Peter down there. Once again, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, episode 126.